You're listening to the Optimal Performance Podcast. The OPP is brought to you by Natural Stacks, makers of 100% natural and open source supplements designed to help you live optimal. For more information on how to build optimal mental and physical performance into your life, go to naturalstacks.com. I know that the listeners of the Optimal Performance Podcast are movers, shakers, worker-outers, optimal performers, and the supplements that you take every day help you live the sort of life that you want to live. And I'm curious how many of you take the natural protein product from Natural Stacks. If you're working out and you're trying to build lean muscle mass, try the natural protein. I've been taking whey proteins and creatines and stuff back into college, and I was a college athlete playing soccer. And what I've found is that unlike the other proteins that you can take, this one does not make you feel flabby or gassy or bloated or sluggish like a lot of the other proteins do. The natural protein has 18 grams of grass-fed protein per serving. It's got whey in it, and it's got collagen and colostrum. That combination with the addition of the cacao makes it unlike any other protein that's out there. Because you're a listener of the OPP, if you use the promo code MAC15, MAC as in Shawnee Mac, as in Sean McCormick, MAC15 will get you 15% off your first online purchase. So while you're there picking up some natural protein, also get some Siltep. There's such a massive array of products that we carry that will help you live the most optimal life that you can. As you probably already know, we like to do giveaways. This month, we're giving away a Halo Sport headset. It's a neurostimulator that allows you to accelerate movements in athletic strength and skills-based training. If you practice with this, yoga or grappling or CrossFit or whatever, if you're training for something, using the Halo Sport in your training regimen will activate your motor cortex and actually help you perform better. It's a $600 value, and one of you guys is going to win it for free. Click on the description and enter to win. And every time that you share the contest, you get entered to win again. One of you guys is going to get one of these awesome Halo Sport headsets to use for your training. So please enter to win. We're happy to give this stuff to you and continue living optimal. For this week's episode of the Optimal Performance Podcast, I sit down with Dr. Bob Greczanik. Bob Greczanik is, I'd be willing to bet, the most influential sports performance specialist that you've never heard of. This guy has worked with sports teams across the country and teams like the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals and the Milwaukee Bucks. He works with both individual athletes and sports teams to help them operate at a higher level. He has some amazing stories that we get into about speeding people's recovery. Specific NFL athletes that were supposed to be out for 3 to 6 months and have like a 2-week turnaround recovery period. The guy is amazing. Also in this episode, he walks me through an acupuncture session. I actually get, he calls them antennae. I get poked with some acupuncture needles and actually sit through a session and during this podcast. He is a fascinating guy, and what is most interesting about this is that he is basically a modern master. He is a Western educated, but also Eastern educated specialist, and he knows more about the flow of energy in the body and the breath and the energy points. He also has a massive collection of stones. He uses different stones in different ways to enhance energy, and he is just a really fascinating guy to listen to. When you listen to this podcast, keep an open mind and stay tuned in because there is a ton of information packed into this and also some techniques that you can use right away to help you perform at a higher level, one of which is a breathing technique that he does 5 times a day. So I think you guys are going to really dig this episode. Please enjoy. You're listening to the Optimal Performance Podcast, and I'm your host, Sean McCormick. It's the OPP. I'm a performance coach, a wellness entrepreneur, a blogger, a speaker, a biohacker, and it's my privilege to bring to you the leading experts in the field of performance. So let's dig right in. Dr. Bob, you do so many different things. I mean, your specialties include acupuncture, energy, the mineral kingdom, herbs, elixirs. We're drinking right now an elixir of what's in this thing?
Morinda and eucomia with some pure cacao. I always say cacao wrong. I go cacao. Some cacao in there. That was kind of blended up in my own specialty.
Right. So this I ask every guest the same question, which is, what have you eaten and or what supplements, herbs, like what have you put in your body today? It's now 11:15 on a Thursday in rainy Bellevue, Washington. What have you had? What's inside your body?
Good question. So I still hoop at a high level. Just note that I'm X amount of years old, so I hooped in a very competitive game last night. So that started last night for me. Okay. So after the game, I had an elixir I made for myself, but it's a regeneration elixir. So it kind of cleans out inflammation, but also nurtures my system. And today, all I had was bone broth with herbs. That's my go-to after I hoop.
So do you wake up in the morning and your bone broth is already ready? Like, what's in the bone broth?
So Chinese herbs and a cow-based, beef-based bone broth.
What kind of herbs?
All kinds, man. That's like ancient Chinese secrets, man.
Sure, right.
So again, regeneration one. So it's like there's certain herbs that, again, a lot of people will know these herbs, but there's like, you get into the herbal awareness or herbal kingdom, there's all kinds of things. So certain herbs that, one, always want to take things that are going to help my gut function better.
Right.
So that I can assimilate. It's not what I eat, I'm actually assimilating what I'm actually eating. So after you play basketball, and say my game's over at like 10 o'clock at night, it's a men's league. Guys used to play Division I basketball. It's pretty competitive. A few fights broke out. People are kind of like fired up. So you want to have things that, one, you're going to clear out that adrenaline maybe if you're pumping that.
Yeah.
But also, from the Chinese perspective, that adrenaline will affect your digestion. You won't get the fire to your digestion. It goes somewhere else. So we want to bring that back all the time.
Got it.
And I also move every day in a certain way when I wake up. And before I even get out of bed, I do a 5-minute breathing exercise. So I feel all of my energy channels open up and the bottom of my feet expand. Simple as that. I'll just show you, then I'll explain it to the people listening.
Yeah.
2 breaths down in my feet. I've been doing it for 20 years. Just hold your right nostril, close your mouth, creates a pump, and you'll feel it go through your body. If you're good at it, 5 minutes, 5 times a day. Do it before you go to bed. When you wake up, 3 times throughout the day, you'll actually feel your feet open up.
Right.
Question is, why your feet? Biggest pores in your body in your feet. When people take off their socks, they go, oh, my feet feel so much better.
Right.
I think if you can breathe that way already, you're breathing into your system.
Right. Man, I'm so excited to actually sit down and you've given me just a quick tour of your office, and I've been here before. But for those of you who are just listening, Dr. Bob Greczanik is Bob. You work with athletes you work with sports teams all over the country, all over the world. You play high level basketball, and you have for years and years, and guys go to you, it seems like, and I know a couple of them, and one for an example is Steve Hauschka, who was on the OPP a couple of weeks ago, and he believes in you so much. And great guy, awesome dude. He floated with me. He's the reason why he's so good and he's so consistent is because he's open to his own energy and also to practices that are not like mainstream. Can you tell us a little bit about, as much as you can, who have you worked with, and if you can describe some of the work that you do? And I know that every case is different, but who have you worked with and how?
Yeah, so I'll work with little babies that are born in a day. Best case was a little baby was born with severe pneumonia. Treated that baby, it's like 10 years ago. One treatment, the baby was normal. So the whole spectrum. I also studied with people in Britain, in England, pediatric acupuncture, so that's also kind of in my forte. But I always look at people from a point of view of like, okay, where are they at? Where are we going? Sports-wise, everyone thinks I'm a sports guy, but everybody's an energy human being.
Right.
Everybody is like a sports person. It's how you kind of coach them into that awareness of, or that paradigm of like, wow, if I'm more aware of my energy, everything functions better. But people always think about their physical energy, and think about their emotional energy. Stephen Hoshke, why he's so good? He's emotionally shooting bullseyes. He's emotionally tuned in. As a kicker, you got to have like this like tunnel vision, man.
Yeah.
All you see are the bars, and the referee's hands go up again and again. Deep guy. First got started working with sports teams in like 1996 in the state of Washington. I was playing basketball. One of the guys I was playing basketball with goes, man, he goes, I haven't seen you around here. Where are you from? I was joking back in the day. I said, I'm from Earth, man. He goes, oh, what are those guys? I'm just joking. I'm just messing with you. So he was a coach at Rainier Beach High School. Very predominant basketball team in Seattle. And he goes, hey, why don't you come down? We got a few guys that are beat up, man. And he's like, okay, man. I told him what I did, and he's like, okay, come down there. So I go down there, and there's like this guy named Jamal Crawford. And these other guys, I do my thing, and they're just like, we never saw this stuff before. So when I first started, I studied when I was in school all the acupuncture points from a perspective of how do they affect sports performance in some way, but that performance is also emotional stuff. So I studied all these points. I do it on myself. I'd play a game. I was like 18 for 20. I was just like, wow. I was in my own flow state. So I worked with Rainier Beach, and they won a state championship. And then George Call heard of me. He ran like an AU program, and he's like, hey, I heard these things. Like, what is this guy doing? So he had a group of, it was called Friends of Hoop back then. George Call ran it. He had like, I don't know, say 50 kids. I was in charge of all these kids. So one of their games down in San Diego had 50 kids lined up, needle. Best things I ever did, because I actually felt the whole wave of all their teams meshed together. They played a great tournament. So then after that, then he calls me up and he goes, hey, Coach Milwaukee, I might bring you out. I'm like, okay. He goes, just be prepared.
The Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, so I get a call. Hey, Sam Cassell's been hurt, man. He's got a bad ankle. No one's been able to fix him for a month. He goes, I'm going to give you 3 days to fix Sam. So I go out there, I'm like, okay, George. So I go out there. One day he's playing. He's like, they used to call me Needles. Like, Needles, what's this stuff doing, man? I'm like, hey, just note that it works. So then I say, who on your team isn't performing well? Like, who's underperforming? He goes, well, Glenn Robinson's kind of in a little bit of a slump now. I said, well, George, give me a few days with Glenn. And he goes, what for? To help his performance. He goes, what do you mean you're going to help his performance? Come on, man. It's like you just deal with injuries. I said, no, George, let me see what I can do. So I treat him 3 times. He goes out and he has like, I think it was 42 points, 26 rebounds. He does this for like 2 or 3 consecutive games. And George is like, can you do this every night? I said, well, George, it's not always what I'm doing, but how about if I treat your team? He goes, what do you mean treat my team? I said, there's this thing called swarm theory. It's like, you look at nature, it's like one fish moves in the water, they all move. One bird moves, they all move. I said, I had this concept, working with the Friends of Hoop kids, and we treated them all that, became like one big family linked up. It was okay, man. So I treated them, I'll never forget, they played the Indiana Pacers. End of the first quarter, the score was something like 42-6. George was like, what is going on here? They were just flowing, man. It was beautiful. It was like an orchestra conduction. They were just going at it. So I worked with the Bucks for about 3 or 4 years. Just note, certain sports teams, energy levels kind of get a little funky. People want to get money. There's a lot of ego there. So I said, okay, I'm done with this. So then I had children. I said, I'm not going to work with another sports team until my kids are grown up. But in the meantime, I worked with Olympic sprinters. Say a guy ran on 10.1 500 meters, 5 treatments, 988. Unbelievable. People are just like, what's going on? A kid at UW used to run there. He was like a 46 flat 400 meter runner. Again, 5 treatments, like a 44.4. Qualified for Olympic trials. Did very, very well. Along the way, back in the Seahawk days with like Walter Jones, I treat all these guys. But they'd always think it was always for an injury. But all of a sudden they're kind of like, man, I just seem like I'm playing better. Like, why am I playing better? I'd always be like, because you're flowing, man. You have more space in your body. So then I worked with the Milwaukee Bucks, and I worked with the Cincinnati Bengals, a bunch of teammates. I worked with them for a whole year. They were projected to be 0-16. They ended up 9-7, made the playoffs. So then it's just been a odyssey of just people calling me. I never call them. Like, if I call somebody, them, they're just like, who are you? People just call me. I'm like, okay, if you're kind of in tune to this, we can kind of talk.
That's one thing that is interesting, is that you're kind of hard to find online. I mean, you know that, but you're not out self-promoting. You're not out doing book tours. I mean, I know that you do seminars and workshops and stuff like that, but it's it's really by word of mouth, and the proof is in the performance for you, because that's how you get connected with all these guys. And I know who you're working with now, local teams and teams on the other coast. But it's a result of how you do what you do. It's effectiveness.
Yeah, so I'm not a marketer.
Right.
I'm not, like I said, calling people up, hey, I'm going to do this or that. It has to be the right link, and it's always people call me. But I'm not, as you're in here, you kind of notice, like, I'm kind of having fun with what I'm doing, so I'm not, like, worried I got to go sell books or do this or that. It's more like one-to-one connections to kind of assist people.
Yeah.
Not like, I got to go do this or that. It's a different mindset, but also a different awareness of, I'm having great fun for what I do. You're like in a cavern, a hibernation chamber here, whatever we want to call this, in that it's hard to fathom unless you're in here. You can talk about it, you'd be like, it's like, it's like a museum you have here.
It is like a museum. I mean, like we're sitting here, and there are Chinese tapestries. There's nebulas. There's pictures. There you have a whole wall that's devoted to a whiteboard that has all these Bruce Lee quotes and obelisks. That looks like Wizardite or Dragonite, or what's that one called?
It's close, yes.
And you, as soon as I came into your clinic today, and for mainstream accessibility, you do acupuncture. That's that people can wrap their brain around that because they know what that is. But it's obviously so much more. Petrified chambered nautiluses, and I sat on a couple of different petrified stumps, apparently from Madagascar. So this place has its own feeling, has its own energetic signature. Also, there's sports memorabilia from the athletes that you've worked with. You have what looks like 60 different pairs of basketball shoes out in the entryway.
Well, those shoes is an interesting story. I've always been interested in shoes, but I've come to the awareness that shoes are very grounding, so it keeps me grounded. But actually, the shoes, real quick, are a link into athletes. They'll give me shoes. I'm a bigger guy, so I'll get shoes. But it's also a icebreaker, or kind of like cracking bread when you go, hey, cool shoes, man. I just like shoes.
Yeah.
Like yourself. You got a nice pair on
Yeah,
yourself. Man.
Me too. I think that especially this audience and our listeners and myself included, obviously I own float centers, and so I'm interested in alternative therapies. I'm interested in what works. I'm interested in non-conventional modes of improving performance. And you are like the epitome of the non-conventional performance specialist. And I would love to hear as much. The other thing too is I know that there's a large aspect of secrecy, because the knowledge that you have about internal alchemy and herbs and this delicious elixir and the knowledge of the stones is sort of protected.
It's protected at a certain level, but it's also that if you're aware of that, you're more tuned into that. So I just can't say, hey, take this, do that, poof. It doesn't work that way. You have to go through a process. So everyone that I see, I always kind of see their perfection. That's what I start out with. So people come in and say an issue. I don't care about your issue. I'm already seeing where we're going with it. We're not going to keep you there, but for a lot of people, it's, my physical body. I'm also curious about your consciousness. What's your relationship to yourself? How do you nurture yourself? Do you nurture yourself? What are you talking about? I'm too busy. I got to go. No, we want to slow. When you're here, time slows down, dramatically. So when that occurs, people kind of go, whoa, there's a little different realm here. No, it's just a realm that anyone can have. We just have to understand that you can do some breathing, slow yourself down. Like I've told you before, it's like people come in and I say, hey, you're very stressed out. I look around the room and go, well, where's your stress? I don't see your stress. And people always look at me like, what do you mean? I said, your stress is a perception of something you've created as a reactionary state. Why be reactionary? If you can get over the sense of being reactionary, know your patterns, life changes dramatically. And then if you look at sports, what do you like about sports performance? Oh, the guy had an ultimate performance, man. He was in his zone.
Right.
So I live in my zone. I live in a zone. So you're in a zone right now. Does it feel like a zone?
Absolutely it does.
So it takes you in, and you were on a stone or something, you kind of felt some things going on, going like, you're being nurtured. This is a very nurturing environment.
And the work that you do, I mean, because you can't have the Buffalo Bills come into the clinic, you have to go to them. Can you describe some of the stuff that you're doing with both individuals and the team as a whole and the environment?
Yeah, so when I go to environment, I will, have certain essential oils I might spread around the environment, do a little incense to create a different sensation for them. So they're, one, maybe more relaxed, more nurtured, more home-like. Quote again, they're not stressed. Oh, we got a big game. Everybody gets kind of geeked up. No, we don't want to get geeked up. We want to save that for Sunday or Saturday, whatever your game might be, so that you're kind of like being nurtured in this environment. So when I work with people, everyone's unique. I could do 10,000 different things on 10,000 different people. It just depends. One, I always listen. I always do a very thorough history of what they have going on. Extremely thorough. So I take nothing for granted. Talk to me about what your condition might be, where you're from. It's almost like I'm interviewing people. Very, very thorough. And then I do checks and balances. Like I can do certain muscle testing on people, find things that people are like, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, it's not that you didn't find it. It's almost like, I like Ohm's law. It's a physics term, like resistance in systems. If you find some resistance, get rid of the resistance, all of a sudden people are like, man, I just function so, I just feel so much faster. I'm so much lighter. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. So I have different modalities to kind of access people's potential, access their kind of ability to perform better, but also to be more relaxed.
Yeah.
And then my big thing is like, how do you regenerate yourself? Why aren't you always in a regeneration or higher level of consciousness or awareness? So, all those herbs I showed you, all those have components to kind of help my body be nurtured.
Right.
I eat 1 meal a day. You ask me, I eat 1 meal a day. I'm not counting the bone broth. That's just kind of a supplement. That's a liquid. I'll eat 1 meal, and I'm X amount of years old. I'm not bad for the way I look, right?
Yeah.
I'm out there hooping, and people are kind of like, man, you look like you're whatever. People always think I'm 20 years younger than what I am.
Yeah.
I go, well, that's my chronological age, not my biological age.
Right.
So I don't like in our society people say, oh, that's not bad for your age, or that's how you should be. And I'm like, no, that's a belief system someone has taken on. And I always look at people how they move. Mm-hmm. So they don't even know. When people come to see me, I'm seeing how they're moving, where they hold intention maybe. And that just tells me things energetically I can then assess them and kind of clear up.
When we walked into your lab, into the kitchen, you had bags and labels and canisters of all sorts of different herbs. And for our listeners who take these supplements, who take Natural Stack supplements, they understand why artichoke extract is important. That's one of the main ingredients in Siltep, which is our cognitive and the flagship cognitive enhancer. But I was also, because you and I haven't really talked about Natural Stacks ever, and then when I told you I was hosting the podcast, you're like, oh yeah, I like their products, and I was like, yeah. And you said it was the protein. It was the natural protein, and I was like, oh, you use it. And then when we went in there, I saw the biocreatine, and then I saw 2 others, and I took a picture of them. But what is it about the Natural Stack supplements that you dig?
So for the protein supplement that has the cacao, I use that. So I also do an interesting form of weight. I only lift weights once a week. I do high intensity training called HIIT.
Okay, because you and I talked a little bit about the Body by Science, the ideal exercise.
Yeah, that's it. HIIT. So it's also is called HIIT, high intensity training. I've been going there for, again, my sense of time. I don't know how long I've been going there, 3 or 4 years, and in doing that with some of your products, particularly that protein product, I would say, so when I go lift that day, I'll take that product pre and post, and I've gained 20 pounds of muscle mass in 3 years. Body fat went from like 14% to 10% by doing high intensity training in your one product.
Once a week.
Once a week.
I mean, you play basketball how many times a week?
Once or twice.
Once or twice, and then one gym lifting session, high intensity training.
For 15 minutes.
For 15 minutes.
That's it.
And that's the Body by Science, right?
Yes.
And you and I have talked about that before. One of the other co-founders of the company is a big fan of its ideal exercise, or Body by Science, which is basically super heavy, super slow, really hard, makes you sore for a day or 2 afterward because you're lifting so hard. So you take the natural protein before and after.
Yes, with a few herbs I mix in there also.
Right.
However, when I first went to the train, I'm always kind of like, okay, why am I even being here. So quick story. So a woman I treat had torn her ACL. She was 62 years old at the time. And I said, well, you're 62. How'd you hurt yourself?
Right.
And she goes, well, I can usually do like 3 runs a day, but I did 5. And I'm like, how do you go from 3 to 5 runs? She goes, well, I do this weird training that everyone says is kind of weird. And I go, well, what's it called? She goes, well, it's this HIIT, ideal exercise training. I go there once a week, and people make fun of me, and I'm kind of going like, okay. So I can usually help people heal from their ACL injuries if I treat them before they have their surgery, get rid of some inflammation, they'll heal in half the time.
Huh.
So I said, hey, why don't you come in a few times? This woman comes in, see her twice, and I see her like a month later, and I'm like, wow, you're moving really good. She goes, yeah, I had my surgery. True story, she was like 95% healed after her surgery, my treatments, in her ideal exercise. And I'm going like, why is that? So I started to study ideal exercise. Bottom line is it enhances your human growth hormone.
Got it.
So this woman, she was 62. She's actually a physician. She actually went down 2 dress sizes, and she was buffed, man, for 60. I was like, what? I'm going like, wow, what's going on? So I go to this place. I'm kind of like a detective. I always kind of go into places like, I don't believe anything. So people might tell me stuff. I have to experience it myself to actually kind of like take it in. So I go in there, and I'm kind of looking at people going like, and when you go in there, it's just one person at a time. So it's boom, boom, boom. No one's sitting around. You're just in there doing your thing. So I'm looking around. Some of the people are coming in now. I'm like interviewing people. I'm kind of like this woman like, how long have you been going here? 20 years. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this lady's like 55. I said, what's your age? She goes, I'm 75. I'm going like, what? And my first time I went there, I get out and I'm driving my car going like, man, I think my car has a problem. I'm like, man, it's feeling weird. And all of a sudden I go, no, it's me. Never forget that, man. Never forget that. It was like I was Gumby.
Really?
I was like, wow. So I keep going there, and all of a sudden, I'm hooping against people, and they're going like, dude, it's like you're becoming like a savage. And I'm going like, okay. So I used to wear an XL shirt. Now I'm a double X, and I think I'm going to have to be a triple X. My body just keeps getting bigger. And you can look at me. I'm not holding any fat, man. It's just poof. So I've always had traditionally strong legs, so I can, with some of their stuff, I'm squatting like 650 pounds.
What?
Yeah. Like I get in there, man. It's just, but part of that whole process. So what's great about that form of training, it has a breathing piston-like effect that if you get into it, man, you will be able to lift that weight and not get tired until you're completely done.
Right.
But it's very focused, so it's like intense focus. Boom, boom, boom. And the Natural Stack product for me, that product in particular, man, tunes me in, helps me out, man. Dramatically.
And for somebody like you who's discerning about what you put in your body, you're aware of the energy, you're aware of the ingredients and stuff. Obviously, you pay close attention to herbal concoctions and elixirs and so forth. I don't know. It's cool because it's a testament to the Natural Stacks products because you know what's in there and they tell you what's in there and there's no proprietary blends. So it's like, yeah, it's good.
I just want to tell you that I also test everything that is in here. So I studied with a man in Egypt. He created something called biogeometry. So I don't believe anything. Like, I'm sure you might have saw the studies a few years ago. Like, I don't know if it was the New York Times or Consumer Reports started looking at nutritional products, like, Walmart and other places. And they found that in those components, 45% of what they said was not even in those things.
Yeah.
Because of fillers and people trying to cheat people and make money. So it's a huge unregulated industry. And if you can have quality control, way in front of the game, man.
Right. Yeah. Well, every batch of every product that Natural Stacks does is tested and posted. So every batch of curcumin that you get, you can actually see the test results where they say exactly what's in it, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's the way it should be.
No, it's the way it should be. It should be high quality control.
Yeah. And everybody's different, and I know you're going to try to wiggle out of this question, but just give us 3 nutrients that everybody should be taking.
3 nutrients, okay. I'd go with magnesium.
Yeah.
Reason being, all these studies say about magnesium, it helps your brain function, relax you. But for me in particular, though, magnesium is a very interesting mineral. Most magnesium in your body is actually not in the cells, it's in the fascial plane. So people take things, they think it's in the fascial plane. So I always like to use a term with people. I always want to know how your bounce is in your step. You have a little pop. I don't care how old you think you are. You know that old quote by Satchel Paige? how old would you be if you know how old you were? I ask people that all the time. There's a difference. You could have a mental age of how you think you are than an actual body age of how you move.
Right.
Magnesium oil, when applied to your feet, will create elasticity in your body.
Huh.
You'll feel a bounce. So I apply that also every day. I also like essential fatty acids.
Yeah.
Your brain is 80% fat. Fat's gotten a bad rap. I look at some of the studies about how it kind of came out, like cholesterol's bad.
Right.
It's really not.
Right.
In the early 1900s, there was a 1% incidence of cholesterol in our country. The average cholesterol was 300. So I'm not like, hey, go get a test, my cholesterol's whatever. I'm curious about, okay, you have a test done. It's going to give us a plot where you are, but how do you feel?
Right.
We can do our checks, Western checks. Definitely need those. We want to go overboard by taking different medications.
Right.
And then I would go with... That's a good question, man. I'm not weaseling out anyway.
No, you did good.
I gave you two.
There's two.
Third one, it's hard. There's a lot to choose from, man.
Right.
I would go with cacao.
Really?
Pure chocolate. Yeah, because I think it has so I'm a historian also, so that's like the research stuff. So the ancient Mayans used to call cacao heart blood. They literally, before they went to war, they'd get cacao, break it down, and then drink it. And what they said was that it made their heart relax. They can then focus on what they needed to do. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's clearly a master plant, because there's a reason why. I mean, it's got polyphenols, and people are addicted to it, and they love it, and they use it. It's used. The chocolate that you see in a Hershey's bar is not actual chocolate. It's plastic, basically.
Yeah, so I'm talking about high level stuff. So,
Right.
For me, also, just to talk about this concept real quick, the way I was trained is that, or the way that things are actually in Oriental medicine is that things have different energetic natures. Things can be hot, cold, warm, neutral. They can be phlegm producing or not. And then plants and herbs have their own different distinction of like how they flow in your channels. So they can flow in, say, the heart meridian, lung meridian, things like that. So research with cacao says that it affects a nerve in your, I believe it's like either T4 or T5 that actually causes your heart to relax.
Huh.
So for me, if we can get your hearts to relax, the real you shows up.
Yeah.
We're not living on some treadmill, kind of just going through life going, hey, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I'm reactionary. The cacao makes you present. Also, that cacao, and that's in your one protein, right?
Right. Yep.
It also makes everything, it helps things be delivered a lot better in the whole body.
It affects the whole system.
Well, it affects whatever else you take will be delivered much more efficiently.
Right.
And properly.
Okay, so we've got magnesium, essential fatty acids, and cacao.
Yes.
That's fantastic. I was not. I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't know that I was expecting those three.
Well, you ask me tomorrow, they might be different.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Right. So let's talk a little bit about acupuncture, because for those of you listening, and you're already getting a sense of this, like Bob could go all day, all night, and your depth of awareness, your depth of study, and depth of knowledge, traveling to Egypt to work with a guy, going to China to work with a guy, traveling the world to work with these masters. I know that you wouldn't call yourself a master, but I really do see you as...
I'm humble pie, man.
Yeah.
I'm humble pie.
You're a humble master, and especially for the Western world, which is looking for... I think that there's a trend going back towards sort of traditional medicine, and because people are getting so messed up by pharmaceuticals that I think people are looking to herbs and looking for essential oils and the mineral kingdom to help them perform optimally.
But also look, though, what people are looking for, there aren't magic bullets, man. People have to understand you are the magic bullet. How do you take care of yourself to then reap the rewards of yourself versus looking for... not good or bad to say, it's something that's been marketed a certain way. Like, look at all the commercials now we have on TV for medications. It's like, wow, but also note those medications. Side effects might include blah, 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 but you hear all these side effects and you're kind of like, why would I take this?
Right.
And then in a bad way with our senior population, we give them so many medications we have no idea what we're actually compounding into them.
Right.
So I don't like that. I
Right.
like that in most other cultures you see your older people being like vehicles of wisdom. They're cared for in our society. Put them in a home. Let's get them out of there. And I have a big thing about people looking good, but inside not being good. So I want to be good inside first, then I can be better outside. We have it backwards.
Right. And where does that being good on the inside come from?
Loving yourself. Why wouldn't you always love yourself? When we talk about the concept of like stress, people want to tell me, "Oh, I gotta love myself." I'm like, no. Your internal talk should not be that way. Why do we have that dialogue? Look at our society, how we in school, I have to achieve 100%. But in the real world, it doesn't work that way. If I'm in a simulation, if I can simulate some activities with mental imagery, I'm already in different situations. I can be freer. But we put all this pressure on certain things, and I'm always kind of like, whose pressure? Who said so? I'm not saying that in a bad way. You do have to have academic standards in doing things, but we put so much like tension, or we give so much energy to that. It's kind of like, wow. So I really got into the concept a number of years ago. So my grandfather played for the Cleveland Browns. My uncle was an All-American hurler. I was a very good basketball player, played college basketball. And I was always curious about when I had peak experiences, why couldn't I always be in a peak? So when I went to college, I had a great advisor. Blessings, Dr. Morris, passed away a number of years ago. Awesome human being, man. I might even cry. That guy's awesome. So we offered a class called What is Time? I'm like, that's a pretty cool class, man. So I'm like in this class, and we start talking about this guy named Maslow, and I'm going, man, Maslow was a cool cat, man. This guy's like doing some stuff. So I started looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I'm going like, okay, you need to have these basic things. So I'm going, okay, check. Then I hear peak experiences, self-actualization. I go, that's the same as a concept of sports being in your zone.
Right.
Then I said to myself, why can't we live in that zone if, big if here, we have our bottom foundations taken care of? So let's look at that. Some of the bottom foundations: home, life, sex, food, whatever. If we live in a fast food society, we're not going to be in our peak experience. Why? So look at TV. I don't even watch much TV. I watch sports. Maybe I'll watch like PBS. I do a lot of YouTubing. I'll watch just different things, listen to music as I'm studying or doing whatever I'm doing. And if I can free myself from, quote, pressures, I can then be in a peak experience. Everyone's had a peak. So tell me one of your peak experiences, man. Maybe you've had many, but give me some characteristics of your peak experiences. Maybe you're living it right now. Maybe we're having one right now together.
Honestly, I'm either approaching a peak experience or I'm in it right now. And
real quick, the elixir will enhance that in you to create that peak.
Yeah.
And note, the elixir though, it's like, how do I want to say this in a nice way to people? You don't want to be all, let's go. It's more like you're like, poof. You've changed your consciousness where you're calm, cool, and collective, and you're in your flow, right, not the flow. Everybody has their unique flow pattern. So it's like, what are some of your like intakes of like when you're there? It's like, oh, I feel that. I'll give an example. Like when I'm tuned in, man, my feet and my shoes will feel smaller. I will use my left hand more. My voice will change. Those are some of my indicators. Everybody has indicators, but I have to slow down to hear them. I'm like, what's going on? I'm do this. Blah, 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 blah. What, man? What are you talking about? Say, slow down, man. I'm in a hurry. We got to go. No, it's not like that. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, for me, I get a little bit of a ringing in my ears. Like before I do a presentation, like I do public speaking, I get like a little like.
That's your tune in, man. That's, right. Talk about tune in. I call it like. I always talk about like there's dial-up and there's Wi-Fi. We currently live in a Wi-Fi society where we have that potential to always be tuned in to us. Not like we're plugged into the Matrix.
Right.
We're in.
Right.
So once you're in, you got to stay in. I always talk about that term in. You're in to win. You're in. I call it your inner G, your inner energy, your inner greatness, whatever you want to call it. But you're in your flow.
Right. And that's different for everybody, right?
Yes.
And you may be okay on 8 hours of sleep. You may be okay on 6.5. You may need 10. You may need to skip breakfast. You and I both. I eat basically 2 meals a day. I break my fast at 2:00, and then I eat again I've been basically doing like 80-20 keto,
Yeah.
ketosis eating, and so lots of fermented foods. But I know when my body and my brain and my spirit are all kind of in tune, and when it's time to perform, host a podcast, do a speaking engagement, as a life coach, coaching someone and feeling like everything just sort of comes aligned, and I just have this calm confidence and focus.
View it like an orchestra. If you're the conductor, if you're an orchestra, our winds are playing a certain way. We got our percussions.
Yeah.
Are you kind of in that flow? But you have to feel your flow. And for me, I also mentor a lot of youth, say sports people about, hey, how can you relax and play better? Not, I gotta get fired up.
Right.
Let's go. I'm more curious about, okay, here's a deep one for you. I believe I have not pumped adrenaline in about 12 years that I'm consciously aware of. So if I'm closest, I tend to flow in my vehicle, let's just say that. If I'm flowing around and someone puts their brakes on in front, I'll breathe the adrenaline away. I'll stop it. But if you can get through that, you become a more in-tuned human being versus a human doer. And energy will then give you more to be with, not use more. So I treat a lot of people, they'll be like, man, I feel so good, I'm going to do all this stuff. No. Take the energy and let it nurture you. It's like if we're nurturing plants, we got to get down to the roots, right? Our society likes to look at the flower and go, oh, it's not a beautiful flower. We don't care about the roots. We cut the roots off.
Yeah.
It's you got to be rooted. And then how are you nurturing yourself to keep your flow going? And I also like what you said, you have these indicators. Know when you're tuned in, but here's my question. Why would you ever be tuned out?
Yeah.
You get tuned out, what happened?
Bad food, an argument, a crisis that I didn't respond to.
Okay,
optimally.
That too shall pass.
Yeah, exactly.
So the question then is, how can you get into your breathing patterns to then make yourself be nurtured by your own breath? I think the Latin word for breathing is spirit, right? So breathe in some new spirit, get rid of the old stuff.
Yeah. Flow state is not the same thing for everybody. It's not like a state of consciousness. It's not like a state of being that's that sort of reaches everything and is the same for everybody. So the question is, how can our listeners, how can you or I or anybody that's hearing this, what's one or two things, where should they start with developing their own ability to find and create that state for themselves?
Good question. So I'm going to ask you a few questions here, okay? And it's sequential that what I'll ask you actually will give us the answer. So how long can you live if you don't have food?
What is it? Well, The
normal deal.
Yeah. I don't know, is it a week or...
Whatever. We don't... Okay, just note a week. Okay?
2, yeah.
How long can you live without water?
Yeah, shorter time, couple of days.
Okay. How about your breath?
Couple of minutes.
Okay, what's the most important?
Breath.
So part of your brain, the medulla oblongata, deals with your breathing, your heart rate, and your circulation. And if you can control or become more aware of your breathing, you will be in a flow state. However,
sure.
If you give your breath away or get into what most people are called upper thoracic breathers, only breathing with half their lung capacity,
right,
or in a state of, we'll call it stress on their diaphragm or their system, you don't know what flow is because you're always in a reactionary adrenaline state. So, what do we note when we see basketball players do foul shots? What do?
Oh, you see them, they go through their routine, right? Bounce, bounce, bounce. Big, deep breath in, ball rises up, shoulders drop, and then it goes.
The breath, right?
Yeah.
We don't value our breath because we don't see our breath. In our society, we like screens. We're like, there's an addiction to screens, man. I'm being very honest. Like, if it's on a screen, people believe it. If it's true enough, if it's on a screen, it has to be true. So that's another part about, you look at a screen, dopamine gets activated, you're taken out. But if you keep your breath, in most circumstances, you'll be very, very, very relaxed. So simple exercises, become more aware of your breathing, but don't force your breathing. Now, I'm going to say this not in a good or bad way either. I'm not a yoga guy per se. I'm not like, hey, I got to do yoga. Because I'm more like a cheetah than I am, say, a gazelle. What does that mean? I'm more of a sprinter than more of a distance guy. I'm a power guy. So at my age, I can still play basketball because it's all about fast twitch muscle fibers. That's who I am. I'm a fast twitch guy. And if I keep my breath in that flow, I'll have more power to access when I'm training. But if I'm in a hurry, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta whatever. It's like if you're always, here's a great one. So let's take that breathing thing we just talked about, more where you're breathing, and then you're gonna laugh at this one. Try to be 15 minutes early for everything that you do.
Ah, yeah.
Because if you're 15 minutes early, then it gives you time to do your breathing.
Right.
And if you're early, you're not chasing time. If you're always chasing time, always looking at your watch, got to be somewhere, whatever. People like adrenaline. They get caught up into it. Got to go, I'm in a hurry, I'm late, got to be there, whatever. No, you're losing your vitality. You're giving away for free. You're giving it out, man. Underplan. Don't overplan. Don't, I'm booked. Solid. No. Have a little time for you.
Yeah.
Breathing. Breathing is the best nurture, and last time I checked, it's free.
Yes. Can you remind us again? You said that you do the one nostril breath. Can you tell us again how to do that? How frequently?
Yeah. So basically, you just hold your right nostril, close your mouth. It creates a pump. Breathe through your left nostril, in and out, just through your left nostril. In and out. 5 minutes, 5 times a day. Do it before you go to bed and when you wake up.
5 minutes, 5 times a day.
Note how your body moves and or feels as you're doing that. Don't be doing it at the same time looking at your cell phone, looking at a screen.
Yeah.
Put that down and notice what you actually feel and experience within you. It's giving you an opportunity to get in touch with you versus like touching other things and being taken out.
I really, that is such a simple thing. We can all spend a couple of minutes. We can all afford 5 minutes.
Well, it's almost too simple. It's so simple, people don't do it.
Right. I'm noticing that you're still sipping on that elixir, that concoction that you made us. Should I have not have drank mine so fast?
Oh no, I've been a little busy. Been cruising around.
Yeah, sticking needles in people. Speaking of which,
think of the needle though like an antenna.
Yeah.
So people have this idea that acupuncture is just for pain. Pain is just one thing can help with, but it's more to help nurture your body. So the reason why I really got into this, I had a advisor way back in college. He goes, Robert, you shouldn't go the traditional medical route. Like why shouldn't I, Dr. Morris? I goes, well, he goes, you're all about health. That's not about health. Everybody's looking at disease over there. And he goes, you got to think about or tune into something that like deals with vitality. And he goes, why don't we do an independent study how people have healed throughout time? And I'm like, I'm a young kid going, what? What do you mean, Dr. Morris? No, we're going to do this thing on time. He's a great gentleman. He was a Baptist minister before he got his PhD in biology.
Wow.
So when he would give lectures, it was like a sermon. You were just like, we're just going to go see this guy put the show on, learn about biology, man. You're just like, wow. So he's like, Robert, he goes, we're going to do this independent study. And he goes, we're going to look at how people have healed throughout time. And he goes, just remember this. Just because science can't prove it doesn't mean that science is a religion. Things still exist that still work that don't fit into that paradigm. Maybe the paradigm just hasn't discovered it yet. So that always stuck with me.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, wow. So we studied, how people healed in ancient times, Native Americans, and he goes, I think those people were more healthy than we were.
I think that's clear.
Right?
Right?
I went, wow. So all this medical technology, not that it's good nor bad, it's how you use it, but it can give you false readings on things, not you. I'm more concerned about you than things.
Right. Yeah. Well, on that note, you and I talked before I hit the record button again, and we're gonna do a session.
Yep, do a quick treatment so you can experience, and I'll kind of go through what I'm thinking in my mind as I'm kind of doing things with you.
Okay. So I'm sitting here with I'm sitting in a probably what's $1,000 anti-gravity chair in your back office.
Probably more than that, but who cares?
I've got my shoes and socks off. I just snagged these obelisks that I pointed to a little bit earlier. I just was drawn to them, and so I just grabbed them, and I've kind of been holding them. And
no, free flow, man. You're just
yeah.
Always trust your innate response to things. Don't. So a lot of people chew on thoughts. I have a thought. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Trust your gut instinct, man. It's there for a reason.
Yeah. So these are probably 10 or 15 pound, 18-inch obelisks. They're 6-sided. Dragonite, what is it? Merlinite. Is it Merlinite?
Yeah, but there's different names for this. So it might be Gabbro too. There's different forms. Yeah, that comes from Madagascar.
It's beautiful. It's like purple and black and speckled. It sort of looks a little bit like granite. So I'm going to move this computer back that we're recording on, and then I'm also wearing my Natural Stacks blue blocking glasses. I'm going to take those puppies off, and I will move the chair up.
Okay, so anytime I meet somebody, is there anything that you'd like to kind of like tune into, enhance yourself with? You don't have to have an issue to come see me.
Sure.
My whole deal is like, say you're like, life's normal. I want to make your life great.
Yeah.
I want you to hang out in that realm where you're kind of like, wow. And for me, that's a peak experience like an athlete.
Yeah.
Everybody can live that way. Okay, so when a person comes in, I first look at their body, kind of look at their face. I'm also a facial reader. I've trained that way, so I don't tell these people these things. I'm just kind of like getting a sense of you, but I'm always looking at your blueprint. Like, wait, what's this person's blueprint? So I'm going to feel your pulses and have you stick out your tongue. Let's have you stick out your tongue. Okay. Thank you, sir. So it's okay to express what I saw in your tongue?
Please.
Okay. So your tongue has a red tip, so you tend to think a lot. You have a lot of thoughts that need to kind of move through you. One more time with your tongue, please. Okay, thank you. Make sure you chew your food thoroughly.
Okay.
That's what the tongue shows. And the tongue is a whole diagnostic piece in itself. Very fascinating.
Yeah.
And so I also did some time in Japan with these blind acupuncturists. So when I first met them, they would blindfold me for a little bit, and I'd have to like decipher like on the skin, is like, is this a rotten apple? Is this a... the other deep one was find the cotton ball on the leaf. So that gave me like a 6th and 7th sense of just feeling, of just tactile sense. So I'm feeling pulses. There's 32 different qualities of pulses. A pulse could be wiry, thin, minute, and it's not just beats per minute. And that pulse taking took about 10 years to kind of get good at.
Sure.
So you're a little fired up here, bro. I think you're excited. You got a little bit of mojo flowing through you in a good way.
I do.
So this is also very interesting. What people think are like acupuncture points are actually live energetic centers in the body. Why it's hard to study this stuff is when people pass, die, the energy goes away, so it's no longer there.
Sure. Can't study a cadaver for
You got it,
energetic
man.
flow.
So we're going to start here with our first point. Know what you experienced, sir.
Yeah, so Dr. Bob is he's got a needle in my right foot.
Think of the needle like an antenna. What's it look like?
It's got an antenna.
What's it look like?
Looks like antennas. On the top of my right foot and then the top of my left foot, the needles have a red covering around them. And immediately my legs feel heavier. Sinking. Whoa.
Hello.
Whoa. You just put one in my left. Whoa.
I'm not trying to get you, but I can feel that energy. Did you feel that flow go through you?
Yes, I did.
Poof.
You put one in my. You put another one in my left hand, right in like the sort of meaty part when you're whatever that's called, the web.
In ancient times, called the tiger's mouth. Is the tiger's mouth open or closed? It was a sign of things.
I'm feeling, a flurry of stuff happening now in both of my hands.
What's the stuff feel like? So for me, I'll take that stuff when someone sees me. I'll be like, okay, what does that stuff feel like? Is it hot, cold, moving, not moving? You tell me.
It's
we're having a live energetic interaction now.
Right.
With you, those needles / antenna. What's your body mostly made up of? Water.
Right.
We got some flow going.
Yeah. It feels like now it's moving. It's flowing from my hands toward my elbows.
What's moving?
Energy is moving.
Okay, no, that's a very unique thing to say, because a lot of people seem to be like, come in the room, they'll be like, hey, I felt this thing, man.
Yeah.
I'll be like, what thing are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I felt this thing in my body. No, I'm like, that's you and your energy field linking up.
Yeah. I was not expecting to feel... I've done acupuncture a couple of times, and I usually don't feel any sort of like concentration of energy in any.
No,
and the second that these made these into my hands, it felt like a boom.
Here's a deep one. Remember, I studied in Japan with those guys, so I'm trying to find the live point. I'm feeling live energy that when I tap into it, it's gonna do something. Doesn't mean you have to have the phenomenon. I'm not a phenomenon like, oh my gosh, I felt this energy flow through me and blah blah blah. I'm more curious, like, felt the energy. What is it doing with you? But that's a live point.
Right.
And when it's live, you have a currency going through you.
Yeah. Yeah.
At a certain point, you're going to be so relaxed, you're not going to talk anymore. I'm just already telling you what's going to happen.
So now you're through my shirt into my clavicle, my traps almost, my left, and now on my right. And now I'm feeling I'm now twitching. My hands are twitching. And I'm feeling like a distinct heaviness. Almost like a paralysis.
Now note the heaviness.
Yeah.
It's like your tissue. If I had my thumb and forefinger together, it's like they're expanding, they're opening up.
Yeah.
That's your tissue expanding. So one of my criteria, and I work with professional athletes, they'll be like, dude, I'll be like, what? Everyone feels taller.
Ah.
Now what that's doing, it's actually creating some of those, it's getting rid of some of those micro tensions you have, just poof, it goes away.
Yeah.
But then we have to teach breathing to keep that there.
Right. And I'm trying to, I'm focusing on breathing down at the bottom of my lungs.
You just let go. You don't have to, you just be free flow.
Yeah.
Don't try to do anything, just be in it.
Okay.
You might be itchy too.
I just itched my chin.
Histamine. You got stuff moving.
Yeah, and I felt it as soon as I moved my hand, it was like an awareness. A little, it didn't hurt, but it felt something.
Okay, check out this one. I want you to take 3 deep breaths. Okay, so note that breath. I'm not going to hurt you, okay? I'm going to do 2 quick things. Breathe again. Feel that space?
Yeah.
Coming back again. Breathe again, please. One more time. Breathe again. What do you notice?
I feel like an expansion in my rib cage. I feel like a connection between the middle part of my chest and the top of my head.
Okay, 2 quick things. Your face is completely relaxing and your voice has gotten deeper. Breathe again for me, please. I'm not going to do what I just did. Just note that. I just went into certain energy points with my hands. I just released things.
And what that means to you guys listening is that you poked me on both sides of my rib cage simultaneously and then rubbed with your knuckles right on my chest plate.
So just note, no knuckles. It was just skill with my fingers. My fingers will feel energy.
And I have needles now.
Tell me what that did for your breathing.
Top of my quads. It relaxed it. It deepened it. And now I have one on my hairline. Right in the middle of my forehead.
So how about we keep this in for 7 minutes? We usually go about 12 to 20. And I also go back and I monitor your pulse. I go, okay, how's your pulse now? Because we're in an interactive system. And your body now will show me its true pulse. Maybe before it wasn't your true pulse because you weren't relaxed. So we don't know what that true pulse really is.
I feel sort of like a calm vitality.
That's a deep one. So here's an interesting one that people kind of don't see or hear much. So most people, you're going to see an acupuncture. So I'm doing what I'm doing. You're laying on a table. I can treat people in functional movement patterns where they get stronger when they train, lift, perform. That's what people understand. That's kind of like the X factor. When I show up, people are like, oh, we didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like this. It's almost like after like a sauna or after a meditation. It's like this calm confidence.
So I'm going to say that's creating a flow in you after reading your pulse and your tongue. That is kind of like defragging you in a certain way, using a computer term. I'm not a computer guy, just note that. Actually, I don't like computers. It zaps away your energy and affects your adrenals. That's a story for another day, though.
Yeah.
What this is doing, though, it's nurturing you. Feel that expansion of your tissue you described, where you're kind of getting like heavy. You're more in the chair, right?
For sure, yeah.
You're creating more space in your tissue. So what do we know when people get older? They shrink, right?
Yeah.
No one knows exactly why they shrink. I'm saying you don't have to shrink. Maybe we slow it down a long, 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 long time.
And now my left forearm's twitching, my right tricep is twitching, and there is this spot sort of on my chin that is just tingling, and if I were in the float tank, I would leave it alone, but I'm just curious about it, so I'm itching it, you know.
Well, no, you're itching an energy field of your own body.
Yeah.
That's being activated for a particular reason.
Right. What's going on? Oh, there, my foot twitches big time. What's going on with the front of my chin?
It's clearing stuff. You've been working a little bit too hard, my man. I'm just gonna add something to this whole equation, okay? So just keep your eyes closed. I'm gonna add something. You tell me what you feel.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what I'm doing in a little bit.
Left foot's twitching. Feel a little bit lightheaded. I feel sort of quivery in my limbs.
I want you to open your eyes, but don't tell our listeners what I'm doing yet. So open your eyes, see what I'm doing. Okay? And know what you're feeling, okay? Okay, then what I'm doing, I'm going to go away from that and notice what you feel.
I feel like my feet are sweating, and I feel like my temperature has dropped. Not because I'm cold, but just like.
So a lot of times people's thermostat gets reset.
Yeah.
It's like hormones get moved around. It's trying to make you more how you should be. Not that you're on or off. This is a deep thing. When you have needles/antennae in you, your whole system is trying to kind of like nurture itself, make itself kind of more efficient.
Yeah.
We should have a picture before and after of your face, man. 'Cause you're like. I'm sure our listeners can hear your voice kind of. There's a deeper bass to it.
Yeah. So I went into my just sort of a meditative breath, you know.
I was joking, say no, I don't know, but tell me. People are like, you know, I know, I don't know.
Well, you know what it's like when I meditate.
Everybody's unique, man. Come on now, brother. What are we talking about? Like you're.
So
I came in the room. I asked you what you kind of experienced.
Yeah, my experience was one of sort of waves of tingling throughout my body, some like body paralysis. I also had this engagement with a purple and blue mandala that presented itself, and what I've learned is not to get too excited about stuff like that, is to just sort of let it be, collaborate with it, integrate with it if you can, and that was unexpected.
So a lot of times people have experiences where it's like their system kind of like lets go, and they kind of like, it's very common. People are like, hey, I saw this like blue light, or I had these thoughts. It's like your body's defragging, but it's also like your own virtual environment that you're tapping, tuning back in with versus your external awareness. So 80% of your senses are through your vision. 80% is taken up by your vision. So you close your eyes, it puts you into an alpha state automatically. So you go into that state and you do that with the needles and the antenna, it creates a flow. And then it also tells me your level of consciousness. It's like, where are you at? Like, what's going on? And also note, like, you felt, like if I had a picture of you, your face is really relaxed. You're just kind of like, you've been nurtured in a weird way. Like you're in a womb. No, very serious about this. And that nurturement is part of like a human caring for another human being at a level like, hey, you're in free flow, man. You're in your deal.
Yeah.
My job is like to kind of like tune you in to that through looking at your tongue, taking your pulses, also going back. We keep monitoring those. So say if your pulse was wiry and all of a sudden it turns like this like slippery pulse, that's more normal. And it tells me everything about you through your pulse. I could treat you through the pulse too. I could just send my energy into the pulses. You would shift. You'd be like, oh, what is that?
What was my pulse doing?
So your pulse in the beginning was very, very wiry. It was kind of like fast, kind of like think of like a violin that was like too tight, and you're playing. It's like, and then when I came back and checked it, it was like, oh, now it's beautiful music. It's just the way it should be.
Yeah. What was the poking on the sides of my rib cage?
So that deals with this premise of your exterior environment, your outside world, and your interior, and your diaphragm is that gateway. So if you open up the diaphragm in that certain way, everything opens up. And note how your breathing changed. It was just easier. You had more space in you. Note that term, more space in you. That's your space. Why was it given up? A lot of times that space is given up by we're too busy doing stuff, running around, blah, 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 blah. No. Take some deep breaths. Feel how your breathing is. That should continue to be with you. Then you're nurturing yourself. Remember we talked about, how long can you live if you don't have food, water, breathing. Well, now your breathing is tuned in. And then part of your brain goes, oh, I can relax. An interesting one real quick is sometimes people will exercise a lot, like runners. This is a very interesting concept here. Tell me what your thoughts are, is that when they run a lot, your body can't distinguish if you're actually running from something or if you're just actually running. And those endorphins are coming out and you think it's just, oh, this endorphin high? No, your body thinks it's in trouble.
Does that go for the same as power clean or swimming long distances?
Could be, I wouldn't say for power cleaning, but swimming distances, yes.
Yeah. So in an ultra marathon, pedaling, biking, swimming,
Possibly, but again, it depends on your level of consciousness or how long you've been doing it. So
right.
At a certain level, it could be a meditative state.
Right.
But for most people who go out and run, though, they're, what is my time? Got to do this, got to do that, got to do this. Why don't you just go out and enjoy your run?
Right. Rather than just pushing for time and trying to do your personal best.
What time, man? I mean, what does it matter? Oh, time today. No, I'd be more curious, how do you feel?
Right.
How did you feel running? Oh, today I had some bounce, man. I felt great.
And that's really what your specialty is, right? Your specialty, your focus, you've chosen this, your life path is about the inner environment. It's about inner energy.
Going back to, though, Maslow's take of his concepts of being self-actualized, or being, what he would say, self-actualized.
It's like exploration, self-realization, self-actualization is at the top of that pyramid.
Yes, but think of this one. How about if we flip the pyramid? That's what I'm into now. We take the pyramid he had, self-actualization, that's the tipping point. Now we're going to something new. That's where we went.
Going deeper.
Yeah, we got out of those other ones. Safety needs. If you're at a certain level of life is good, you can go into deeper levels. So I'm saying, we had the pyramid, and I'm drawing up on the board here real quick a little picture. We have that pyramid just like this. Say he's like that. Well, I'm doing this. I'm creating a new one. It's inverted.
Yeah.
Where are we going, man?
So Bob's drawing now a pyramid, stack of pyramids, almost like an hourglass, where the pyramid is pointing upward on the bottom, and then there's another one above it pointing down. Yeah. Self-actualization.
So you get to that. That's like the zone. We can do a whole podcast on just the zone.
Yeah.
Man. I can tap into people's energy points and change their brainwaves. They'll put you into a zone. So that's what I'm saying. When you're self-actualized, what are the next steps, or what's the next hierarchy at a higher level of consciousness? Mm-hmm. Maslow just went like, hey, you're self-actualized, you're in it. So I say to myself, why can't you always be there? And then when you're in that, where does it take us? Do I have a sensory, auditory change? Do I see better? Do I see mandalas come up? That's all you, man. Everybody's unique, and it's not weird. We just don't talk about it.
That's right. You're totally right. For this audience who is highly educated, interested, dialed in, obviously
those are my people,
concerned with nutrition, very, very, they're optimized. It's the Optimal Performance Podcast. They take supplements, they work out hard. I'm sure that they have deep love in their life. This stuff, what we're talking about now, your mastery, your specialty is still and I don't even want to say the word woo woo, but it's still out there for people, and it's not out there.
Hold on. It's actually in there, but people always say it's out there. I always tell people, man, I feel like I'm out of it. And I say, no, you're so far in, you don't even know. You're so far in, you're out.
It's true.
Some of the guys worked with the most probably ever is Jamal Crawford. He's 37 or 38. When you see the guy, people are like, Jamal looks like he's 32. He hasn't aged per se. But working the most, we had a few concepts where we're like, he's like, man, he goes, I'm so far in, I'm out. And I go, well, maybe you're so far in, you're out, or you're so far out, you're in. So it's that same concept of awareness.
Right. It's this it's hermetic, and not to get too out there. That's my other podcast. For those of you listening, it's the Mystic Mac podcast.
But real quick though, that's also what we can call the flow state. So there's a whole group of people we can talk about that I've studied the Western way of putting the Eastern into it.
Right.
We can do that next time, man. We can map it. We can talk about it. We can see it. And people go, oh, now it makes sense. And I go, it's already making sense to you. You just had to educationally make sense to you, but your senses already know.
Yeah. Well, it's in our DNA. It's inborn. We're born with this knowledge. It traces back through the lineage, and it goes back to ancient wisdom and Hermeticism and Hermes Trismegistus and the Caduceus. Like these sorts of archetypes, this knowledge that we have is inside of us, and that's like you said, the breath. Nobody takes the breath. Not nobody. The breath is not as important in the Western world because we can't see it, because we can't
We're always in a hurry to go nowhere.
Right.
We're in a hurry to go nowhere, man. Why do we have to be in a hurry to go nowhere? Once you take some deep breaths and are more aware, you get into Maslow's states of you're self-actualized. I can just help get people there quicker, but what I like working with athletes at one level, I can treat them and see an immediate feedback loop, and they'll tell me, dude, this stuff, oh my gosh. I just go, yeah, man. Like, and one of my issues might be that I'm just in it so much that it's just normal to me.
Right.
People are like, dude, why don't you have books? Why don't you have books out there? And I'm like, dude, I'm living it. Why don't you have books?
Right.
That's not me, man.
Your baseline is this. And for athletes and for high performers, they know their baselines. They know how their body feels. And when you can tap into another level, when you can go within, when you can activate flow states, when you can optimize sort of energetic output, that's when you can see bigger differences. And sports are fun, so it's play, right? So
playing field. Note, here's a deep one for you. Where are things grown? In a field. People get, we talk about that concept like everything's in a box. We don't live in a box, people. We live in a field of energy. But people want to put a box in conscious, like, well, this reminds me of my meditation state or my massage. No, it's a unique experience. Why do you have to take it back to what you think is normal?
Yeah.
That's part of your limbic brain, where your limbic brain wants to make sense of stuff.
Right.
And you have the amygdala and hippocampus that want to be protectors for you.
Right.
So it's not a square. Hey, we don't do circles here, man. That's a circle. I don't know. Hey, a circle. No, hey, we only do squares here.
Yeah, right.
So you bring that curveball in, all of a sudden, though, you can upgrade and get into deeper levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
That's what's fun about it, man. I mean, isn't it great to always smile and have fun?
Yeah. Yeah.
You looked at people when they came in and when they leave. I guarantee you, everybody's smiling and they're poof in a different level of awareness.
So to take this thing home, Dr. Bob, before we meet up again for the next episode, how we talked about the breath. We talked about the. You've given us some tools today. So what other things can people do to tap into their flow state? Like what should people get interested in?
Move differently. Walk around a little bit with your eyes closed. Know what you're walking though, but cause your senses to be different. We get so used to our same patterns. Be 15 minutes early to what you're going to. Drive to work differently. Do different patterns. Change your pattern up, and then more things will come to you. You stay in your same pattern. People are like, I'm in my deal. I'm like, well, you're in the same deal you were 10 weeks ago. Yeah. You're not in the same deal. You just think you are.
Right.
You're tricking yourself, man. So change your patterns. My big thing is, could be a concept is like, if you're in a rut, how do you get out of the rut? And our society loves ruts, man. We don't know how to get out of ruts.
Vacation. That's what people do. They take vacations.
Here's a deep one. People, I'll get calls. Man, why am I so sick on their vacations? Because their body is slowed down to relax, to allow the toxins to come out of them.
Yeah.
It's a deep concept, man.
For sure. Finally, I'm able to relax my body and my brain and my spirit enough, hopefully at a beach or someplace that's nice weather. And then now it's like, okay, now I can relax, and all the stuff that's been building up that I've been suppressing is now coming forth. Yeah.
And also note, when you're at a beach, there's a deeper concept we can talk about is negative ions. So
Oh, yeah.
if you're around a waterfall, if you're around a beach, those negative ions are going to help your body clear yourself out so that you're more fine-tuned.
Totally.
But my deal, though, is that people always want to go physical. Note how your relationship is with yourself. How's my mind? How am I tuned in?
Yeah.
If I get mad at myself, I laugh at myself and go, why would I ever thought about that?
Yeah.
People live that way.
Right.
Deep one, man.
So how can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you? I'm gonna read this quote from Jeremy Taiwo, decathlete, who's actually local here. When Dr. Bob asked me how I felt at practice after working together, I told him, quote, I believe I was running the fastest I've ever run. He said, quote, okay, but tell me more. Tell me what it felt like, quote. I said, quote, I've never felt my body move like that. I could tell I was going faster than I have ever gone because of how the wind felt on me. It sounded different in my ears, and I was inside. This has been such an exciting chapter in my life. Thank you, Dr. Bob, for your belief and your energy. Nice. Excellent.
Up on top's the website.
It's energeticsportslab.com. You're not going to find him on Instagram. This is the best place to get in touch with him, the best place to get a hold of him. You know, if you've got, if you're a coach, if you're involved in sports teams, or you want to get some cutting edge and also ancient wisdom and some practice from a true modern master, Dr. Bob, you are.
Hey, I'm just a normal guy having fun, man.
reach out to Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
One more thing before you guys take off. I really appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for tuning into the OPP. You know, it's been 10 episodes since I took over for Ryan Muncie, and it is such a joy. I am a giant fan of this podcast and have been for a couple of years, and it's just a huge honor for me to take the baton and continue to give you amazing content, a wider range of topics that will help you live the most optimal life you can possibly live. Also, please share this episode. If you dig this stuff and you think this is cool, tell your friends. Point them in the direction of this podcast, because I'm going to keep coming with the hits every week. Every Tuesday, you're going to have some new information from me, and it really helps spread the word. Also, if you haven't left us a review yet, if you're a regular listener, thank you so much. Please just go to iTunes, spend the 1 minute to write a quick review with 5 stars, and share this love, because that's how this thing grows. Also, use that MAC15 promo code to get 15% off your first online purchase at naturalstacks.com. Check out the natural protein, the whey, the collagen protein. And also, me personally, I have another podcast. I have another podcast called the Mystic Mac Podcast. There's only 6 episodes, but it's building. And this is my forte. This is psychedelics, spirituality, meditation, altered states of consciousness, all the other cool stuff that I like to do. I'm a coach, and you can find me on Instagram, The Mystic Mac. If you dig this stuff and you like my style, please let me know. Email me, Sean, SEAN, at naturalstacks.com. I'd love to get to know some of you guys that are regular listeners, and I look forward to touching base with all of you. Until next week, my friends.